So you've been in the janitorial space for 12 years
Yeah.
and you have been able to scale your business from obviously zero using those yellow pages to what are you projecting to do this year?
We'll push for 10 million this year.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cleaning Business Mentor podcast. In this episode, I have a very special guest, Mr. Peter Boland. Peter Boland is the founder of One Janitorial based out of Canada, and he has a lot of gems to drop for you guys this episode. Peter, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course, of course. I love everything that you're doing. I was taking a look at your LinkedIn. I was looking at all of your web pages, and you guys are doing some serious numbers in the janitorial space. If you don't mind giving the audience a quick introduction on who Peter Boland is and how you've came to be in business since 2011.
Sounds great. So I came into this business on a fluke. Essentially, I had no prior experience or background. I was running call centers over the Philippines and India. I had a wife at the time, ex-wife now, and I had a child, and she didn't want to move to Philippines and live there, even though we would have lived fantastically. So I came home. We decided to move into the basement of my parents' place. I wanted to start a business. I knew I couldn't work for anybody anymore. I literally went through a franchise booklet because I wanted something that had reoccurring revenue that I wasn't going to sell one time, make a bunch of money, eat steak one month, eat craft dinner the next month. Came across the janitorial industry and decided to do it. Opened up a phone book. This is back when they had yellow pages. Made a cold call to a restaurant. He said yes the first call, and we started the next weekend. And then after that, I've been in the janitorial industry.
Get out of here. So
yeah.
This was all done on a fluke, and back when we had phone books.
There was nothing.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
So we connected on Instagram, which I love being able to use the internet to actually meet people. So that's awesome. So you've been in business since 2011. You got into the industry as a fluke. So that is, what are we now? It's about 12 years in business? Is that how long?
I feel like I've been saying 11 years for like 2 years now, but like it's 12 years.
That happens. I'll be like, it's 5 years. I'm like, no, it's different. Time goes by so fast. So you've been in the janitorial space for 12 years and you have been able to scale your business from obviously zero using those yellow pages to what are you projecting to do this year?
We'll push for 10 million this year.
That is amazing. Wow. Huge congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And I know obviously the entrepreneurial journey, it's a long one, especially in this industry. Even though I feel like now that I have like a better sense of how long it takes to do things in business, I would even consider like 12 years is not that long. Would you say so?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say 12 years is like that long, but if I know what I know now, I could have done what I've done now in probably 2.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes, a lot of learning that went into it.
That's awesome.
And we've really done it every way possible. So I know we were mentioning before, majority of your people are, 0 to 1, possibly $2 million. But like I've done it where I've had employees go into buildings, and then I've done it where we've had salespeople in different cities. And then I've done it where we've all done it just by subcontracting. And then now we do it with partners and we just do cold calling. We don't even have anybody go down and see facilities anymore. There's been all these changes from a traditional janitorial company to something where we can operate across the nation. And actually by the end of this year, we should be in the US, Texas, where we can operate everything. So,
that's awesome. So over these 12 years, you've pretty much tried every model, every different marketing, exhausted everything. And now you do have something that you feel is, I would want to say scalable, correct?
Yeah. I mean, everything's been for 2 reasons. Every change has been a change so I could build something that's sellable and not just build something that pays me an income. And then the other one is how can I correct it and how can I fix it so I could scale twice as fast without having all the headaches with it, right?
That is, that is definitely the goal. If you don't mind, if sharing with us just a little bit of part of your journey.
Sure. After I started the company, it was essentially cold calling and then putting people in buildings. I kept the business pretty small for 5 years because my goals were weak and low. They were mainly just to make as much money as I made running call centers, which is like 140 grand. And then I did that within year one. I think we did $250,000 in sales year one.
Wow.
And then for the next 5 years, we only hit about, 700, 800,000. And then what happens, my son got extremely ill, like extremely ill. He got pneumonia. He stopped breathing. They had to airlift him from a small city we lived in, not airlift him, but take him from a small city we live in to a giant city for the children's hospital. And then my wife had to stay with him for 3 weeks. And what ended up happening was at that point in time, we had just enough money to have our house, and I had lazy goals. And what happened was when she wasn't working, it got me to realize that, my goals were weak and they were too small. And I never wanted to do this again in my family. So I went back, reinvented myself, started investing tens of thousands, now millions of dollars into personal development so I can take the company that I have now to where it is. And immediately after that, we went from like 800 to like 1.5. And then we had these jumps roughly till we hit about 3-4 million. And then we were stagnant for a few years. And that's when we had to start essentially cannibalizing ourselves and making it scalable so that we can grow quicker.
That is awesome. That is a huge jump from going from, 800,000 to the 1 to the 1.5. I like what you said about kind of feeling lazy, because even to me, and I know people listening, they're like probably thinking like, damn, 800,000 a year is a goal to hit. But like you said, in all reality, especially like with the cost of living and having a one income household, that it's really not that much after obviously expenses, paying all of our employees, giving the government their taxes, and something that
you.
For sure.
I don't mean to cut you off in any way.
No, please.
Life will punish you. And every single time that I've gotten lazy, life has come along and bashed me right in the teeth, right? And been like, oh, no, now you have a $300,000 bill for this, or now you have this. And the more money I have, the less stress I've always been. So anytime I've leaned off my goals and I've tried to coast, I've A, become unhappy, and B, something has happened in my life that has just taught me a lesson to the point where I have to push back in and go all in. And now I'll never make that mistake again.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely coasting is always a recipe for disaster. I can agree with just myself getting comfortable in the business. Everything's just okay until, like you said, life happens and it's like, oh, nope, here's a big bill for you. Workman's compensation. Hello.
Yeah,
or hey, you didn't file your taxes correctly or something like that. But yeah, definitely, I agree with you on that whole coasting and just getting by. It's never a good scenario. But you did mention something in regards to the personal development and having to essentially level yourself up so that you can take the business to the next level of 1.53, and now you guys are looking at 10 million. What kind of personal development were you working on, or what were you doing that got you to that next level?
Yeah, it changes all the time. It's depending on what I'm trying to get to the next level. But at the beginning, you're really focused on sales and marketing, right? So marketing is nothing but a way to generate a lead. So everybody gets sales and marketing kind of conflated. But all marketing is ways of generating a lead. And there's about 4 ways to do it. One way is you are going to talk to friends to try to get them to help you out, maybe family members, maybe they have a contract for you. The next one is you're going to talk to complete strangers. One after that is you're going to create content like what you're doing right now, or you're going to run ads. The issue with our industry, running ads, extremely expensive. To get an ad on Google Ads, to get a lead from Google Ads, you're $250 to $500 usually. And when you get a lead from Google Ads, you're competing with usually 3 or 4 other people. Okay. And after you keep talking to all your friends and asking them to clean their businesses, you eventually run into a saturation point. Creating content to get janitorial contracts, I haven't figured out. I don't think it's the best way to go, but that leaves talking to people you don't know. And that's really just what I've mastered, to the point where we have appointment setters that cost us about $86 a lead to get, which is far under Google AdWords, right?
For
and then
sure.
we send them over to appointment setters to presenters to close. So
that's awesome.
So
it can be sales and marketing. And you're right. Some people do get that confused. Sales is actually closing the deals. Marketing is getting you that lead. And you had said something in regards to the Google ads. I know for a fact how expensive that can be, especially, even if it's like smart ads, click per call. We've tried, we've even done the local service leads, which back when we started was only about $22 a phone call. Now you have to compete $100 sometimes a call. And half of those times, if not a majority of the time, it's not the lead that you're looking for. It's someone that's looking to clean houses or somebody that is not willing to pay what your company is going to set for them. So it can get very, very exhausting trying to use paid marketing. I've been there for sure. So you would say that a majority or the tactic that you're using now in your business is talking to people that you don't know, getting on the phone. You did mention not going to door-to-door sales, correct?
Yeah.
Soliciting, quote unquote.
Yeah. I mean, we cold call over the phone. Everything we do is over the phone. Like we don't have a single person go into a building to deliver a quote, period. Right. So we do it very uniquely. I've never seen anybody do it the way we do it. That being said, for your listeners, if there's 0 to a million, I would not suggest cold calling. Cold calling takes like a lot of skill and years to do. And I've been doing it since I was 16. So I've trained thousands of people on how to do it. But if you're just getting started, just go knock on a door and walk in and get in front of somebody.
Right. Absolutely. And then as you mentioned, if because you said you did have a call center. So that's always an option as well, either hiring a cold caller with experience. Although there could be a downside to that because like you said, if you're not experienced in cold calling yourself, how would you then try to hire somebody and train them to do something that you're not so good at? I mean, you can come up with a script.
Sales and marketing, right? You can come up with a script. You're not going to know
right.
if it works or not. Right?
Exactly.
You're going to just waste time. And to be honest, it's better to waste the time, figure it out. But like the issue that people have is they underestimate efforts in order for what it takes to become successful. So they start going, well, I'm going to try this. And they do it for 3-4 days. And what they don't understand, the skill set they're trying to build is going to take them 3-4 months of doing it daily, of high frequency in order to figure it out. But they do it for 3 days and they go, see, that doesn't work. Like I invested in online marketing and ads like $100,000 before I was like, all right, I could get the cost down to $250 a lead and it's a qualified lead. But if I do it the way where we're just cold calling, I'm like, it's 86-ish bucks. I'm like, it still doesn't make sense for me to invest in Google ads.
For sure. So no, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, when we go in, we go all in to the point where we figure it out before we determine if it's going to work or not. So you just have to give it enough time.
That's amazing. So in regards to the sales and marketing, you guys are doing a lot of the cold calling. As you mentioned, you've been experiencing this since you were a teenager. Now, what about the actual walkthroughs? Do you have a team that goes to do them, or is that also done in a different manner? Because most of us
over a screen share.
Wow. That is freaking cool.
Yeah. So
that is
we just got a lead today, an appointment. Somebody booked it. Same day sit. So same day sit means the guy's like, yeah, I'm willing to sit down with you and chat about it. Okay, great. We sat down and chatted about it. 10 minutes before this call, it ended, signed a contract. It was for $868. Wow. So that deal shut down same day.
That is amazing. And that's without having
nothing.
That is really awesome. Yeah,
it's an amazing program. And this is what I mean by like, I'm building something that's easily sellable. I'm not building this giant lug of a machine where we have employees everywhere and we have salespeople everywhere and we're trying to kind of corral everybody together. Everything we have is built to sell and be scalable as possible.
I love that. I really, really love that. And this is obviously, it's been years in the making, lots of trial and error, figuring out what works and what doesn't work. So you did mention earlier, you are doing a different model as well. So do subcontracting. You had mentioned partnerships.
Yeah. So what we do is we have a partnership with everybody. So we used to have a model where it was somewhat like franchising, where they would purchase the rights to clean the contract and we get a percentage every month. We tried it for about a year and a half, 2 years. This is the years where we were stagnant. And I didn't like the franchising style model for 2 reasons. One is you only bring on people, like the barrier to entry becomes money. So you have these people you're talking to who are amazing people that you're like, this is person fits my avatar great to clean this building, but I'm like, they have no money. So you end up bending the avatar in order to put people in that have finances. So I hated it for that reason. And then the second reason is very, very hard to scale. I could add $40,000 a month of new contracts that come in that are reoccurring that stay for 2.8 years. But if I could only bring in 5 partners, how am I supposed to fill these contracts with people? So we tried that for a few years. It didn't work out. We had to cannibalize our own arm a few years ago. And then we just went strictly to a partner model where we give the contract away for free, right? We have a master's janitorial academy that all of our partners get when they register that can teach them how to go out, get their own contracts, essentially do what we do. We'll show them how to do it. We don't even want a percentage of it, nothing at all. It's ours to just give to them so they can be successful. And then we just ask them for the buildings that they are in for them to crush it. That's about all. We give them obviously training on how to work with our company, all these things. But we're trying to help small business owners by giving them guaranteed work for free and by teaching them how to run their own business.
That is something else. That's really amazing. amazing. So you have your own training program.
Yeah.
You're teaching your partners exactly how to go out and get it yourself, themselves rather. So I guess my question would be, how does that work on your end? Like, how is that profitable if you are essentially giving them ownership to everything?
Sure. So we take a percentage of the contract. It can be anywhere from 25 to 40%, depending on how profitable the contract is. And we handle all of the service side of it that's not cleaning. So a lot of the people that partner up with us, these guys have full-time jobs, right? And their husband and wife want to go clean afterwards. They want to build a company so that they can put their daughters or kids through university. They can buy a new car. That they're cleaning for a purpose. And then what we do is we help them by giving them contracts. But these people can't manage the contracts during the day if the client calls, if there's issues, all these things. Like we'll have in a month 150 inquiries from partners. How are they supposed to handle all that? From clients? How are they supposed to handle the issues if they work? And we don't want to provide bad service to our clients, so we operate 24/7 and we handle any of the issues with them. And then we just report the issues to our partner and then help build them out a plan in order to correct the issues for cleaning.
That is awesome. So you guys are doing all of the footwork and essentially just taking on all of the responsibility of having to deal with the clients.
Yeah,
so that's great.
Communication. We're taking the communication. Like, I've been in this for 10 years. There's two main complaints that every single client has with their janitorial company. It's, my communication's terrible. I'll send them an email or make a phone call and I can't get a hold of them for like 2 days. Or it's consistency issues. We have an issue 1 week and then 2 weeks later, it's great. And then after that, there's another issue. And we solve that through inspections, through video walkthroughs, through a lot of things that we do to ensure our partners are successful.
That's awesome. I was actually going to ask that, so I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to say, how do you keep track of all of the different accounts and how are you proactive with your clients so it doesn't get to a point where they're just like, hey, sorry, we're not going to be able to use you anymore. So you guys are using technology like a lot. Which
100%. We have to, we have to. We wouldn't be able to do it without, they have to do inspections every single month. We have monthly meetings with each of our partners. I do monthly webinars with them to help them with their business and answer questions. We have a 24/7 service team for our partners and for our clients. And a lot of the time it's like finding the middle ground. You build a checklist for a client and then they want that checklist cleaned, but everybody has a different idea of what cleaning really is. Somebody could be like, yeah, I want that checklist. They'll never complain at all. And then somebody else is like, they walk in and they're like, it doesn't smell clean. I'm like, well, what does that mean?
Right.
What does it doesn't smell clean mean? Right? They're like, it feels unclean. I'm like, is it though when you touch surfaces? And they're like, no. So then you have to go through this whole way of finding out what that really means to the client. And if you just have a partner doing it or somebody who's not trained really good on communication, they're never going to find out what that means to the client. So we can't solve it. So the people we have are specifically trained on communication in order to get all the information out of the client so that they can assist the partner, ensuring that they provide the best work to the client.
That is awesome. I'm hearing a lot of systems in place that you have been working on for over the last decade.
Yeah, long road. So we have 40 inside staff. So these are like staff in office. We don't have an office. Everywhere we work is across the country. So everybody is in different time zones, provinces, but we all meet in mountain time. So we have 40 in-office people. These are people that do appointment setting, presenting, client services, partner services, accounting, social media, HR. So we have a giant office team, and then we have hundreds of partners, like hundreds of people cleaning the buildings.
That is fantastic. And how does one become a partner with One Janitorial? Because I'm sure people are listening right now like, I want to work with that guy.
Yeah, I do. I love that. OneJanitorial.com. We have a become a partner page. Send an email. You'll probably start to receive some offers that we have. And then if you want to become a partner, we take you through a training program to ensure that you're a right fit for you and for us, right? We don't want to bring you on if it's not going to be a right fit. We really deeply care about our partners being successful. Like, we don't like overloading them with contracts. Don't want to see them fail and get behind and then not want to continue their business. So we're very, very, very selective on who we bring on. I think over the past year, we've had 10,000 people apply. And then, like I said, we have hundreds of partners only. So apply online. And then if we start having buildings in your city, we'll contact you.
Beautiful. Of course, I'm going to be including all of Peter's contact information in the description of this video. So we'll have his Instagram there, LinkedIn, the partner page he mentioned. We'll have links to his podcast as well. But yeah, I love that you guys care so much about about your partners, because I came from a janitorial franchise and I quickly learned that they only want to teach you enough to be good at cleaning. I remember the training for the quote unquote sales and marketing lasted, I don't know, no more than like 30 minutes. And also like with the cleaning, it was very, very basic information. And it was nothing like obviously how you guys have this set up here. I came from that franchise and it was nothing of what you guys do. So kudos to you guys for caring so much about your partners, educating them in how to find other clients, and of course not taking a percentage of that, because that was something that I really was against when I was part of Coverall franchise actually. And I understood obviously like giving them a percentage of the contracts that they presented me with, because they were doing all the footwork, they were doing all the cold calling, gathering all that information and securing the contracts. But what got me was that if I went out and found a contract myself, I still had to notify and Coverall, and they still took a percentage of that. So the fact that you guys are teaching others how to go out and get it themselves is quite amazing.
Like we've tried a lot of iterations, and I'll be honest, we've tried to do it a way that they do it, because obviously when you're coming up, you're modeling other businesses that have been successful. So you're like, okay, here's this giant, $250 million company that's doing this. And then we try to implement some of the stuff we do. And it just made all of our partners upset. Like they hated it, like they really, really hated it. I didn't feel like I was being fair to them. So we wanted to build something, because I don't think there's a lack of contracts in Canada or in the US. I think contracts are everywhere. And if I have 1,000 partners and I teach them all how to go out and get an extra 500 or 1,000 contracts, I don't feel like I'm actually taking anything out of the pot. I'll still be able to have a business. We have one partner right now that's no longer a partner with us, that started off at 0. And this year he's going to do 3.5 million in one of the cities we operated. And a lot of it's from all the training that we did.
Oh yeah, I'm sure a majority of it is from what you guys taught them.
That, and you could probably call that a bad business deal. I should probably have a percentage of it, but I'm just happy that he's able to provide for his family and live a great life. Our business hasn't suffered because of it either. So
right, like you said, there's plenty of work for everybody
100%.
To go around. The contracts are there. It's just a matter of being able to market and then close in on the deal, for sure. So you also have a podcast.
I do, yeah.
And that is
Mastering Janitorial.
And that's all around commercial cleaning. Or do you also talk about
cleaning? Everything's about sales with it, right? We're going to probably get into a little bit more of mindset stuff now. One of the biggest things when we work with partners is their mind is just not developed enough. And I'm not saying like as actually developing their mind, but it's not developed enough in order to operate a business. They think in ones and twosies. They don't think about action. They get stuck in like learned helplessness, where they're just like, oh, I don't know what to do. There's all these things that they have. So we really need to start shifting in order to more of a mental and attitude side of it, so they can kind of break through a lot of these limiting beliefs that they have. And then once you could smash through the limiting beliefs and they could believe they do it, then it's really just installing skill sets.
I love
skill sets are actually the easiest thing to install. Like here's a process on how to do appointment setting. Follow it, learn the ins and outs of it. Here's a process on how to service a client correctly. Here's how you do it, step 1 to 5. Like the processes are easy to do. It's the mindset in order to do the processes correctly that's the hardest to install.
I love that. You guys have it all covered, not just the sales and the marketing, but the self-development and actually having your partners get their mind right for business, because you're completely right. Most people are like, oh yeah, business is easy, but you're really not ready for it. And the moment that you get stuck on something, people automatically throw their hands up. So definitely self-development is a huge deal.
Like thanks to YouTube now, you can learn anything online. I'm not sure if it's the right thing you're learning, but like you can learn anything, like there's a lot of bad information out there.
No, there is.
A lot of bad information. Everybody talks about chat GPT too. And I'm like, all right, that's great. And I had him write me like 3 scripts for stuff. And I was like, I wouldn't use chat GPT. Had him write some legal things. And I was like, I wouldn't use chat GPT either.
Yeah.
Right. Like you need to understand your business before you start using that. And then it's great to augment some stuff and help, like, oh, hey, maybe help clean this writing up. Sure. But like to rely on an AI to do it for you, we're not even close to there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, with the janitorial work that you do, would you say that like a breakdown of the different types of services that you have? Would you say that you have like a majority of routine janitorial? Are you guys like BSCs? Are you doing window washing, floor specialty, or do you guys have like a niche?
I just want the contract. That's it. So anything else that comes
I
in,
love that. You're like, listen, I just want
super
that.
simple, right? Scalable and sellable. Scalable and sellable. So I start branching out. Like we used to have Masters Janitorial Academy where people can buy it and then we teach them how to sell and I would do coaching and stuff with them. But it was slowing down the main vehicle to grow, right? Because it was slowing down the main vehicle to grow, I had to like cannibalize it and just here, we're just going to give it away for free. And then next year our company grows by 2 million, right? Because that distraction is off. Yeah, was I making money with this? Sure. Like we made a couple $100,000 in a few months, but it was taking away from something that could make me millions. And then I can sell for millions more on top of that. So we are very, very one-dimensional. It doesn't mean later on when we've exhausted a lot, we might become two-dimensional, but right now it's all about a commercial cleaning contract and then ensuring that that contract is serviced to the highest standard possible and that partner gets the most support in order to grow their business, period. So if something comes in and they're like, well, we want a strip and wax job, we'll farm it out to somebody and then we'll take a small percentage of it, but it is not like a big work.
The focus.
There's zero focus to it.
If it comes, it comes, but you're mostly focused on those year-long contracts.
Oh, yeah. Average client stays with us 2.8 years right now, right? Which is great. Industry average is 2.1. So we're far above that.
That is awesome. So what would you say for anybody that is just starting off in the janitorial space? Clearly, it's taken 12 years, which I feel like in business, like I said, I feel like that's not as long to be where you're at. Just because I've spoken to some people that are like year 2020 or something like that, and they're, close to the numbers you are. But what would you say to somebody that is just starting off on the janitorial side? Because I often get asked, and I'll be specific with this question, actually. One of the main questions I always get asked is, should I hire W-2 employees? Should I work with subcontractors? How can they maximize their profits? Like, what kind of advice would you have for anybody just starting off in the janitorial space? Would it be to find someone to partner with like yourself?
It depends what your goals are. Right. So like my first advice would be to write down what your goals are for your business, whether it's 1 year, 5 years, times it by 10, right? So it's a lot bigger than what you think because I have underestimated every single thing that I've ever done in my life. I'm like, oh my God, what if I can one day reach $1 million company? And then I hit it and I was like, oh shit, I should have said 10. Now I'm like, oh, we're going to do 10 million. I'm like, man, I should have said 100. Like,
right.
For every level you go up, you have to think completely different. Like, yes, you have to get to $1 million before you get to 10 million, but like that $1 million, if you're thinking at it, it's going to cap you out because if you shift a few strategies, you could actually blow past that a lot quicker. Like you set your goals, 10x your goals just to ensure that you're not underestimating yourself. And then after that, sell, right? You don't have money for marketing, so just sell. Go out there and get contracts. Yeah, but I don't know what to do when I have a contract. Do I go W-2? I'm like, you'll figure all of it out. Like you're forced to figure it out. Somebody's like, yeah, I want you to start tonight. What are you going to say? No,
I'll be there.
All right, I'll be there, right? Like I'll be there with a smile on, and then you're going to figure that stuff out. So like you have to have the client first in order to figure it out. So I've always gone client. Like clients and money will get you out of bad knowledge, right? Because you're going to get the money and eventually you're going to figure it out. And to be honest, if you're a very ethical person like me, you're not going to want to screw up on that client. So you're going to overpromise on what you deliver, on what you promise. So you're going to be in there trying to do more, right? So if you're ethical, you're eventually going to always figure it out. And then over time, you're going to find out what's best for you. But like if your goal is to make 10 grand a month in the janitorial business, should you have employees or should you subcontract it out? Man, you could have employees for 10 grand a month. It's not a problem. Right. But if you have a $10 million contracting business or janitorial business, I'm like, and it also depends on what type of clients you have, right? Like we used to have this client that was 40 grand a month. It was a fertilizer plant. We had to have specific training to go on there, all the safety procedures, all of it. Well, we could only have employees on there, right? But a contract that's $500 a month, right? That's cleaned twice a week. I don't need an employee for it. I could put a contractor in it. So like all these things you're going to learn, but you can't learn them unless you have the contract first. A contract's going to dictate it all. I've had contracts where they're $2 grand a month and they're like, we will not allow subcontractors here. So that means I got to put them on as an employee. But first of all, what's the difference between an employee and a subcontractor? Nothing. They're both the same people. They're just people, right? You're just classifying it a different way for your government, right? So provided it's classified correctly for the government, and you're doing the steps right, it doesn't matter what it boils down to.
Right. So contracts are number one. Contracts
are number one.
Yeah,
you can't have a business if you have no income. It's that simple. A logo is not a business. A website is not a business. Business is income. Okay. Once you have income, you now have a business because now you're filing your business with the government, right? But if you have no income, it's not a business. You're just a hobbyist.
I love that. So don't worry about whether you need to, how you're going to classify your employees. Worry about getting those contracts and having that revenue in. Something that you had said earlier that I just wanted to bring up again, because especially like with the audience that I have and the people that I speak to, is about trying something and doing it repeatedly, building that skill set. I am, and
Frequency builds greatness.
Frequency builds greatness. I like that. I'm going to quote you on that.
Frequency builds greatness. The more you do, the better you get. It's just that simple. Like I have this like post-it note right here that I have written down. The work works on you the more you work on it. So the more I work on something, it's working on me at the same time. So I just keep doing it.
I love that. Do you also do like any kind of motivational speaking?
No, this is like $1 million invested in personal development.
Okay.
Like I've spent tons of money on it. Right. And that's how we've got to
it's definitely coming through and showing right now. Because even me, I'm like thinking, I'm like, wow, like this is awesome. Like this is what we need to hear, because I'm guilty myself of with the whole cold calling and going door to door. In the beginning, I was just like, oh, I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it. And you keep telling yourself that enough, you're not going to be good at it because you're not open to being good at it. But once you get out there and you continually do something and figure out how to make it work, you eventually will get good at it, like everything else.
Dude, who said you had to be good at it? Right? Like,
decent, maybe.
right. Like you didn't say, I never said you had to be good at it.
Right?
Frequency builds greatness, right? There you go. Like you haven't even defined what good is. So if you haven't even defined what good is, do you know if you're not good at something? I'm like, you're great for a newbie. If I have a new person that just goes and knocks on the door and gets over the fear, that's great for a definition of a newbie. I'm like, that's amazing. You're actually an amazing cold caller. You've done what nobody else would do, which is actually just go knock, right? But 5 years into it, the word great's going to mean a lot more, a lot like different.
So sales and marketing, you guys, if you are not constantly marketing your business, you are not going to get sales. So we don't want to hear any of, oh, it's just not working. I tried posting on Facebook 12 times last week and I made 100 phone calls. And, I went to, 3 different business parks and nobody wanted to do a walkthrough. Well, you have to do that consistently.
Yeah.
And some people just don't get it.
Yeah, every day, right? We'll make 125. We'll make 2,250 phone calls today.
Wow. 2,250 phone calls in a day, in a work day.
So yeah, in a work day, right? In a month, we'll do 45,000. In a year, we'll do 500,000.
So in a month,
I lost money while doing this for 6 months. For 6 months, I lost money. Like we were losing 60 grand a month because I was like, I need to figure this out. Right. So it costed me $300,000 in trying to figure this out in order to figure it out to the point now where we're doing 40K a month in sales every single month. But like there was a giant learning curve and investment in it. So like we have it mastered now. Like when I say mastered, I know the exact day, exact percentage when they're going to shut down. I know how many days from the appointment setting. I know which ones are going to show up, which ones are not going to show up. I know who to target. We know exactly what to say. We have it down to a science. Like it's a mathematical number where I can predict what we're going to do 2 weeks from now. But like it all started with losing money and just
trial and error.
Right. So like most people, they'd be like, oh my God, I just spent $500 and lost it. I don't want to do that again. Try spending 300.
Yeah. No, you're right. People will be like, oh, I wasted $500 in ads last month. And it's like, it's not a waste. You were learning something and maybe something that didn't work. You got to keep trying it out. So out of those
underestimation of efforts. Okay. So like, well, I spent $500. I should be able to figure something out. No. Spend 10, spend 20,000. Right. And then come back to it and tell me if you haven't been able to figure it out. But don't spend $500 and think about it. Don't knock on 10 doors, knock on 500 doors in 3 days. And then you tell me if you can't do it.
I love that. Out of I think you said it was like 2,200 calls in a day. What is the closing rate on getting an appointment? Just so that people can have like an understanding of
math for it all.
Oh, I would love that. Right? Yes, please.
So one appointment setter gets 1 appointment a day. We're very, very stringent on what they get. So make 125 phone calls to get 1 appointment. I could push them to get 4. Like I could easily push them to get 4. That's not a problem. But I'm not looking to get 4 appointments with people who don't have like buying motives.
Right.
I'm looking to get an appointment with somebody who's like, I hate my cleaning company, or hey, we were just thinking of getting one, or whatever it boils down to. Like there's specific metrics that we have. So we'll get 1 a day, and out of that 1, we'll close 35%, period.
That is
so
awesome.
Our close percentage is astronomical. Industry average is 20. So we're 15% over that. But we don't want a whole bunch of people just tire kicking. We did that for a while. We were getting, back then we had 10 appointment setters. They were getting like 30 appointments a day. And I'm like, first of all, I can't handle the 30 appointments. Our close percentage now drops to 15. And it just didn't work out. So 35% close. Average deal takes 21 days to shut down, right? And 1 out of every 16 close same day.
That is fantastic. And then so for the ones that don't close same day, how many touches do you have to make over how an extended period of time to actually close on a deal? Because that's another thing that I've run into where it's like, okay, we've already called this person 3 times, we emailed them twice, we stopped in once. So how does that look for you guys?
So we don't count a contact unless they spoke to somebody.
Okay.
So, you sent an email. If I don't get something,
that's not a contact.
Like communication's 2 ways, right? So if I'm communicating one way, that's not communication. Communication is I've sent something, they've received it, and then they've sent it back. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that is a communication to us. So if I sent an email and I didn't get a response back, that's not a communication. So there's touch points that we do. Like we'll have set an appointment, we send an email. That's day 1. Day 2 is, then we do the day before the presentation. We don't book them more than 3 days out because our SIP percentage goes through the roof that way. So we book them max 3 days out. Every once in a while, if a client's like, listen, I'm out of town until next week, we'll do something. But max we try to push is for 3 days out. Day before, we do something called a pre-presentation call. Our presenters call back, right? Introduce themselves to them, send them an email with some information about our company, get more information to assure it matches the appointment and we're really trying to solve the same issues. Then we have the presentation. After the presentation, we send them all the information. Plus, we schedule the next meeting with them where we deliver coffee to their office. We do it through Skip or whatever. While they're making the decision, we have a scheduled time to call back and shut the deal down. That might get missed once or twice, but that moved once or twice. And then in between, we have these touches where we send handwritten thank you cards. There's these little things that we do to just kind of stay in front of people. But with the industry, awesome. Like a lot of it you need to understand is you're not dealing with the decision makers. You're dealing with an influencer. I'm dealing with somebody who needs to take this quote to somebody else and get a signature on it. So there's always going to be a delay in signing it. If it was just me doing a B to C, so B to C is B to consumer. I'm doing solar at a house. I knock at a door, right? I'm selling something to a consumer. I could shut that down same day, right? I'm talking to a decision maker. B to B, you have levels that are a little bit differently elevated. So it takes time.
Right. And I think this is a good question. I'm just thinking now. I'm learning so much, by the way. This has been a great interview, and thank you.
No problem.
My question is, okay, so who is a typical decision maker? And I know it varies depending on different industries, but do you find it to be, and I know it also depends on the size of the business, but who do you, for the most part, who are the decision makers that you guys come across? Is it the secretary at the front desk? Is it
it's never the secretary.
It's never secretary. Okay.
No, it's never the secretary at the front desk. She can maybe take your quote and give it to the person. So there's a difference between an administrator, an influencer, and a decision maker. So an administrator is somebody that I could get, when I say that I could push them to get 4 appointments a day, I'm going to have 2 appointments with an administrator that's not going to be able to do anything with that quote. If I do it that way, that administrator might take it to a decision maker and be like, I don't know, I thought I just might like to look at this. Here you go. And then it disappears on. Okay. An influencer is somebody like an office manager, a branch manager, right? They have direct power, or an operations manager in the office, and they tend to overrun the whole entire facility. And then they keep everything off the back of a decision maker. So a decision maker is me. If you tried to call me to get me on the phone, it would never happen. But I have an operations manager that would take the call and be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is something that we'd be interested in for sure, right?
I love that.
That person handles it. But the name of the person for what a influencer is, man, it changes. Like a restaurant, you're a general manager, right? So the easiest thing to do is you're just who makes the decisions on who signs the contract.
For the cleaning.
And we might have to play the game for a little bit where we're like, oh, sure, we leave a message for this guy. This guy calls us back and he's like, yeah, it's not me. And we're like, okay, well, great. Who is it? No, it's this guy. We go to somebody else and they're like, oh, that's not me either. We're like, God damn it. Who makes the decision for this? Right. But we'll eventually get to the point where well, if you wanted a new internet service, who would make that decision? And they're like, oh, it'll be that guy for sure. I'm like, well, then it's probably that guy. Give me that.
Right.
Right. So our guys are trained on how to find this information out.
This is awesome. Yeah. Definitely a lot of gems. Even myself, I'm genuinely asking you questions that I want to know.
No, it's no problem. I'm here to help out. Right. So.
Oh, thank you so much. I love everything that you guys are doing with finding these partners, training them with the sales, with the cleaning, of course, and just your whole approach. Just being able to run such a high level business also remotely. I think that is so amazing because number one, overhead, right? You don't have to freaking spend money on an office. Number two, not everybody has to live in the same state or even in the same country. And I have a question. Was it COVID that kind of like gave you that, or was that totally, that was something that you, because I noticed like
Part
the
of it was
switch
COVID.
into that.
So like,
Okay.
I'll answer it for you. So like we had a big office, 4,000 square foot office downtown, beautiful view. Once the end of COVID happened, we had a hard time finding people in city. Like we put an ad in, we went from having 300 sales reps to having like 5 people apply. The real reason why it was is me and my wife went through, my ex-wife went through divorce. We're great friends still. And I wanted to take the kids on full time and she's allowed me to do it, but I couldn't be at the office for 4 a.m. and then leave at 7 p.m. again. Like I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I
Now with the little one.
restructured the whole company so that I could be home for the kids full time and raise my kids while being able to grow a business. So yeah,
I love that.
that was the main reason for it.
I mean, that was a great reason. I mean, it was a great outcome.
Yeah,
and a great reason as well.
We're great.
Because so many people get caught up on it.
We almost went tits up a few years ago because all these changes we had to make because everything was in office and everybody was in one area and we were able to do it. So like we had a few stagnant years and even a year where we dropped trying to just get the wheels to turn.
I love that. And I appreciate you being so transparent, on the highs and the lows of the journey, because I think people get caught up on, what you might be doing this year or last year, but they don't know how difficult or how much work went into trying and testing things out and the money being lost and invested to, it's a long game. It's a long game. And a lot of people will just come into this thinking like, oh, I'm going to be rich quick. You could have a great first year, a great second year, but things change. The economy change, life circumstances change. And I can't wait to just continue to watch the growth of your business and see where you go from here. So you're mainly in Canada, correct? Where else? So Canada is huge. I've never visited, but I know based on the map, it looks really.
It's big. We have I think we're population size of like California or Florida only though. So we have a lot of land, not a lot of people. So we operate in every single city that's over 200,000. Now that we have the systems and processes worked out, we're going to be doing everything from here into the US. So we'll start off with Texas, kind of matches our time zones, and there's some other reasons there for it.
That's exciting.
And then we'll start moving to other states from there, other conservative states.
That is exciting. So if you're in Texas, make sure to check out the link in the description of this video.
6 months, yeah.
Yes, please, actually. And I know people in Texas as well, so this is exciting. Cleaning business owners. Well, if you ever guys get into New Jersey, New York area,
we'll be there.
I'll sign up for the program.
Is it
Eastern Standard Time?
York?
Yeah.
Probably never go to New York. And the reason why I wouldn't go to New York or California or places like that is because they have different laws when it comes to contractors. For some reason, they hate business over there. And they create a whole bunch of issues for Uber, for all these places. And I don't want to get stuck where we're subcontracting and then they come in and just override all the laws. And then I'm left with this Frankenstein of a business that I need to cannibalize and change out. So we'll probably stay in pro-business states, which tend to be mainly conservative states.
I love it. You have an angle for everything. Like everything that you do, there's a purpose behind it. You obviously think everything out. And I'm sure a lot of that, has come from all the years of experience of you being an entrepreneur, and then also added all of that personal growth that you're doing. So what is a typical day for you like? How many hours are you working now? And I ask that because I talk to highly successful people quite often and they don't know how to turn it off. Like one of my mentors, he's retired multiple times since I've known him, but he never really does. So it's are you what is your work or what is your day like? Sure. And in the reality of being a business owner, is it always work? Is it always work? Is it always going to be 12 to 16 hour days? Is that something that you genuinely want to do? Is it,
Yeah, I've had this saying for 15 years that if I'm smart enough, I can figure anything out. And I say that because anytime I get into a position where I'm like, oh my God, my back's up against the wall, that saying has always helped me kind of figure everything out. So when I got my kids full time, so I have a 17-year-old and a 12-year-old, when I got them full time and I was like, all right, what I work work 16 hours a day? How am I supposed to work 16 hours a day and raise kids? I had to completely restructure the company. And actually, that decision is what actually took the company from doing, like 4 to 6 million. And it was simply because I'm like, well, I can't be at work 16 hours a day and be there for everybody and be there for my kids. So I had to start learning how to put operations people in, sales managers in, creating more stricter processes. So I was able to be there for my kids, right? So no, I don't think it's all work. And I think if you're working all the time, it's because you're probably not good at something in your business and everybody relies on, right? So typical day for me, I'm up at 4, I'm at the gym for like 2 hours. I have some nerve issues that I'm working out, but I go to the gym for like 2 hours. From there, I come home, kind of get all the kids ready, get their lunches all good to go. I do work for 30, 45 minutes, just making sure everything's organized for the day for the team. I hop on a few meetings in the morning. I spend like 3 hours reading whatever I'm trying to study. Afternoon, I start having more meetings with the team, ensuring that we're on metrics, helping out where they need it. And then I'm done at like 3:30 when the kids get home. I make dinner and then I spend time with my wife.
I love that. You are such a family man, and I've heard nothing but positivity. So he's getting up, he's going to the gym. Okay, 4 o'clock in the morning, he's there. That means he's probably, what, you waking up at 4 or you're there at 4?
3:55 the alarm goes off.
Okay, so 3:55 out of bed. What time are you going to sleep though?
Between
Jump
8
up.
and 9:30.
Wow.
Like
Oh my
sometimes
God.
I'll be in bed at 6:30. Like if it's like a long day, I'll be in bed at I'll pass out on the couch at 6:30 and wake up not knowing where I am at 3:55. But
I love
majority of
that.
the time it's like 8, 9:30.
That is awesome. Because I'm really, again, I'm asking for myself.
Yeah, it's
Because
just a habit thing. Like I used to be young, I partied and, I would, stay up all night and whatever. And then once I had kids, I decided to change who I was. And then once that happened, it was just like, man, I got to get up at 4 and start going to the gym. And it was probably a month of hard work. And then after that, you couldn't get me to sleep in past 6. Like, there's just no way possible. Weekends I get up at 3:55. My body's just programmed for it now. I've been doing it for 5 years.
that is amazing. So exercise gets your body, gets your mind going, family time, meetings, and you did say that you read for a couple hours every day, which is phenomenal because most
Yeah, no,
people
that's how you level
won't
up,
pick up a
right?
book.
You read, you figure out how you can apply it to your life. And like back to going to bed at 8:39, I'm like, I'll be honest, nothing good happens after 9:30 at night.
Oh, I
Business
agree
things
with you.
aren't getting done. Like maybe cleaning's getting done. If you're at a building and you're doing cleaning, I'll let it pass. But other than those things, nothing good happens. Any bad decision I've ever made has come after 9 p.m. period. So I just cut out the bad decisions by going to bed.
You're like, I'm going to bed before
100%.
that, before anything even bad
100%.
can happen. I love that. Yes. Okay. So going to bed early is obviously very important because you need that sleep to get up early. You're reading books. What kind of books are you studying? Are you reading? Is it all self-development? Are we talking business books? Do you throw a little bit of fiction in there? Like what?
I've never read a fiction book, not even in school.
Okay.
So that's probably why I dropped out and I didn't pass anything. But no, everything I do is depending on what the skill set that I'm trying to do is right now, right? I went through divorce. I went through religious books. I wanted to develop a set of beliefs so that I could take myself from where I was to being a better father. And when I found my wife, which I have now, a better husband as well too. So I studied religion for a few years. And then after that, it was like, all right, I need to study operations. So I'm studying operations in order to put people in because I need to learn how to remove myself right now from the company while it keeps growing. And then once I've done that, then I'll probably have to figure out how to take a company from 10 million to 50 million because that looks completely different. The structure of what we have, what we need to do, like everything's going to change for it.
For sure. So constant pouring into yourself, always learning and
don't be scared to
focusing.
invest money, right? And don't be scared to invest money in bad mentors even. Like I've invested money into bad mentors and still got something out of it. Like I invested 125 grand a year in some courses that were actually great courses. I'm not saying those ones were bad ones, but like investing money in order to figure something out, all it does is cut your learning time down. Those first 5-6 years, I didn't invest any money. I just spent it on my house and everything of the business. And because of that, we capped out at like 800, right? So once I started putting money into mentorship, and even back then it was like, oh my God, 3 grand, this is a lot. Now I'll spend 100 and something like it's nothing to get a piece of information out that can cut down 6 months or a year of learning.
For coach or a mentor.
Yeah, if I could give somebody a piece of advice is find one mentor and then just go deep into them. Don't read if I'm reading, like I'm learning how to sell, I'll find one person and then I will only follow their material. I will not follow 3-4 people because everybody has a difference of opinion or views. And when you bump into something where they have a difference of opinion or views, you don't know what to do. So you actually back off from it. It creates confusion, right? So if you're only going deep into one person and absorbing everything they have, you actually, the learning curve of getting it down goes a lot quicker.
That makes a lot of sense. That definitely does make a lot of sense because everyone does have their own style. And like you said, their own opinion and their own just personal experience, right? Like most people teach based on what they've been through or what they've learned. And then you can definitely start, confusing.
And I mean, if you're trying to get to $1 million in janitorial contracts, don't pay somebody to coach you that's at $1 million. Pay somebody that's gotten like 10 million. And I'm not saying I want to be paid for it. We don't do any paid coaching here in any way at all. We just
that was actually my next question,
right? But but just man, somebody that's gone so much more. Yeah, for your next question, no, I don't do any paid partners. I'd rather just give the information for free to people. I'll have people reach out to me on Instagram or at the Peter Boland, and I'll just do an hour like this in a podcast format and just help them out.
That's awesome.
There's no money involved for it.
So
I find that me teaching it actually reinforces it more myself.
For sure, because you're like hearing your own advice, right? You're like
100%. I get off of it and I'm like, oh, I told the guy to do that and I didn't do that. I'm like, man.
Exactly. Oh my God. Yes. It's exactly how I'm like, I need to go do this because I can't keep telling people to do something and I'm not doing it.
Yeah. 100%.
So you don't do any one-on-one coaching, but you can absolutely apply online to be a partner with Peter and you will get those skill sets taught to you that we were talking about earlier in the interview. Do you have any partners?
All me. Right?
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm like literally I'm doing this solo because I know that it is not easy to do this alone, but you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I hear people that partnerships would be great. I think if I bought into another business, not saying it'd be cleaning, I'd want to have partnerships with it because then we kind of get to divvy up responsibilities and we can actually grow some quicker. But for the first business I had, I'm happy I didn't have partners with it because both you guys don't know anything probably, and then you guys are just going to start bumping heads.
I agree.
So I think it's easier to not do it, especially if you're going to start making mistakes.
For sure. Like you said, it would have to be an opportunity where it makes sense to partner with someone. Like, let's say I have all the money, you have all the skill, or vice versa. Or someone's already been in the business and you want to, invest into it, but not where it's two people coming in, knowing absolutely nothing and trying to split nothing.
And even then, like, do your goals match? One guy's like, man, I want to do $10 million. The other guy's like, man, I'm happy to make $100,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
The second, like, how are you guys going to navigate that? One guy's going to work 16 hours a day. The other guy's going to work 30 hours a week? Like, it's just not going to work out.
For sure. Well, I feel like we've gotten so many gems from this one interview. We definitely got to have you back on the show.
Great.
For sure. No, absolutely. You have so much knowledge and I really, really appreciate everything that you were able to share with us today. And again, definitely need to have you come back on the show. Where can we contact you, Peter? Where are you most active on?
Sure.
And of course, I'll put all the links down below. Make sure to give Peter a follow on all his social platforms. Give his podcast a listen. I'm definitely going to be checking that out. Where can we find you?
If you want to get a hold of me, Instagram, the Peter Boland is probably the best. Just send me a message. You want to become a partner, onejanitorial.com. If you want to listen to our podcast, it's on every major podcasting thing, masteringjanitorial.com, and we have a YouTube channel called Peter Boland.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Peter, so much for your time. I'm sure you're going to get a ton of inquiries begging for some one-on-one coaching. But no, we're definitely going to listen. If you guys want to hear more gems from Peter, as he mentioned, he has his own podcast. Go check that out. Give him a follow on LinkedIn. Give him a follow on Instagram. Give him a follow and a subscription on YouTube. He has so many gems that we can all learn from and just really soak up and put into our, not just our personal lives, but our business. So be sure to give Peter a follow. And again, thank you so much for coming on and giving us an hour and change of your time. I know it took me about 20 minutes to get my video ready.
No, it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. You had really great questions. So thank you very much.
No, thank you. Again, it was a pleasure. And we definitely look forward to seeing and hearing more of you.
Sounds good. Thank you.